Peace and blessings, everyone. Welcome to Calling All Marriages podcast. I'm excited because next to me, right, I'm Fran, and that's my sweetie boo.
I'm Lana.
And we're looking forward to you another exciting episode. Hey, welcome back, everyone. Thank you for staying in. Hey, we got an exciting guest here as we talk about the man car, which is for the women too, right here. And we have Rayford Ray Williams Jr. And we're looking for an exciting time with him. So I'm going to have him introduce himself and everybody hold on their seat as we're going to have a fun, good time in the Lord.
Okay. My name is Rayford Williams Jr., and I'm originally from West Texas, Odessa, Texas, but we moved here to Dallas when I was a little young, little around, I think, around 9, 10. And so, yeah, I've been here ever since and came up through the Oak Cliff schools. Like I said, been here all my life, and I actually went to electrical school, and so I've finished that, and now I'm a HVAC technician, and the name of the company is All Heating and Air Conditioning. And so, if you need your AC fixed, I'm the guy.
Amen. Amen. And he's almost a scratch golfer, just for anybody information out there if you see him coming. Today, we want to talk about the man card in a positive light. Both of us had excellent parents, but they didn't know anything about finances. It was like go to high school, hey, you go to college, great, but get yourself a job and hopefully they got a pension, work for the rest of your life. So nobody was teaching us about the man card. I don't know if it's like that for women too, but for men, it's like each one teach one is a serious thing.
Mhm.
And thank God I ran into this brother Ray. Um, he's not what I call a gatekeeper. He's willing to share information. I'm willing to share information. And when you have a wife like my sweetie boo, who tells a young man she don't want to be, oh,
I don't want to be old and broke because I've been young and broke enough. That's my mantra, Ray.
All right, now. All right.
and that's how she when we first started talking over almost 25 years ago, she knew what she wanted. And she wanted a man of God, and she wanted a man with a plan. And at that time, I was 40. I really didn't have a plan. But when she said what she needed, I'm a protector. That I am,
Mhm.
and a provider. So I said, okay, my mission now is to learn and give her everything that she desires. A lot of women out here, they say it's too soon. But if you're over 40 years old, it's never too soon. And Ray is newly engaged, about ready to get married
Congratulations.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
because he knew what he wanted, she knew what they wanted, and they could talk. So that's just a nugget for y'all as we begin to talk about this man card. And it's really, you can use it as a conversation starter because sometimes women, they say, well, it's too soon. I said, well, give him the card and say, well, for my daughters, I say, give him the card and say, look, my
Mhm.
dad, he just a nut. He wants you
Yeah,
to address this. so,
yeah,
so,
yeah.
but it is a starter,
It
right?
is a good
Mhm.
conversation starter, but it's also helpful to women to look at what's on that man's card so they can kind of be looking at the man that they meet to see if he's met any of those qualifications. That kind of
Mhm.
lets her know what direction he's going in. It also lets her know what he's thinking about in life or what direction he's trying to
Mhm.
guide his life by. So it's really a good little guide to have, just not only as a conversation starter, but just in helping you know what to look for, I
That's true.
think. So
That's
it's
true.
worth looking at and
Mhm.
worth using.
So
Yes.
we're going to start off with one, and we're going to let Ray lead us because he came with notes. Not all my guests come with notes. He came with notes in the
Hey,
book
you know,
because he's a
you gotta get.
businessman. These
Yes.
are some of the things that he had to naturally do, and maybe some things he had to learn along the way. So let's start
Yeah.
with that first one, Ray, which is a short-term goal.
Okay, the short term goals. Now, me, I know a whole lot of other individuals. They look at it as in the business site. I look at it as a means of everyday activity and monthly activities. A little shorter than the average. Somebody might say 6 months out. No, I normally start my day like I said with a prayer, and then after that I start my short term goals, which is I have to exercise daily, 100%. Because like I told Lana earlier that my fiance said she don't want to fix her upper. So you know, you gotta have you gotta have you gotta be healthy minded, healthy body, and you gotta eat right. Uh, like I said, get my proteins, get my vitamins each and every day, and then that's one of my short term goals. And then I always tell people that in the beginning of my day, I drink 16 ounces of water, and at the end of my day, I drink that's to cleanse me out and and keep going on so I can get through that night without waking up or doing anything different. I know most people say, "Man, I get up and urinate 5 6 times if I do that." I say,
Mhm.
but it's a routine for me, and and then the other thing is that I I pretty much lean on new ways to communicate with my fiance. So instead of doing it the norm, I try to come up with new things to do uh, each and every week. Like sometimes I bring her a rose and I put a little card in there, and
Oh, how sweet.
that's a goal for me because
Okay.
it keeps her excited, and
Mhm.
newly things to do.
Mhm.
And so, friends, we used to compete all the time
Yeah,
about
we compete.
that. I
we
said
we got
so.
a circle where, as men, we compete with each other daily. And
Yeah,
what I want to say, what Ray is talking about, he's accountable to himself
yeah,
with
mhm,
that short-term goal, accountable
mhm,
to himself.
yeah.
And him being accountable to himself leads to him be able to be accountable for his family.
That's true.
And I appreciate that as a man of God. That's why he's one of my best friends because he's accountable.
Yeah,
So that's that first one. I really like how you went through that and walked
yeah,
people through that
yeah.
short term. Now long term, he about ready to get married.
Nah.
That
well,
long term.
well, you want me to do it? You want to go,
I
and
could
then
talk
I
about.
comment
I'll start
after
with
you?
my long
Yeah.
Well, I
term.
had a question real
Okay.
Okay.
quick. Um, so is this something you've always done in your life, or did you grow up doing some of these things, or did you start this as a man in your adult life? You started bringing yourself into
Uh,
accountability.
okay. It's been in my adult life. So
Okay.
right around uh most men, we're still trying to we're running around blind. And we're just trying to feel our way through life. And so I'm gonna say right around about 45 or 47, somewhere in there, I started going, you know what? I have to do things to get prepared, for my future wife. I got to get the things in order. And so, like I told Fran, I created my board where, where I put things on there monthly, and, I abide by them. And so yeah, I'm gonna say, yeah, probably right around, like I said, 44, 45, 47. Someone
Okay.
I started doing that.
And like I said, I was 39 when
Mhm.
you
Hmm.
you talked to me. Now, some of y'all out there, a lot of y'all are probably like us. You didn't have anybody tell you living your life, you enjoying it. You know, you like, hey, I got insurance at my job. Hey, my short term goal is to make it to the next day. You don't have that thing. But along the way, you learn Habakkuk. Write it down, see what God can do. Write it down, see what God can do. And these are the beginnings of men. And we hope that men don't have to wait until we have someone like you come into our lives. You know what I mean? That we'll start a little bit earlier. So he wanted me to talk about the long-term goal. So when I met my wife and she told me she'd been young and broke, didn't want to be old and broke. I had to make a whole bunch of different plans about my life. I was a nurse, but where I worked at, they didn't have a pension. Where I worked at, they didn't have health care. They had health care while I was working, but once I stopped working, no more health care. And I was like, oh, the VA. I can retire from the VA, buy back my Army time, right, and get a pension. In the short run, you know, I won't say I was losing money because of the benefits, but I took a pay cut. And it, you know, that's what I mean about long-term planning. You know, cars paid off, you know, if your house ain't paid off, we got another income, you know, coming in from somewhere else to supplement for the house. So it's all that kind of things that I really didn't think about because my wife is like, write it down. And a lot of women would say, "Oh, I don't want to be nagging." No, we're one. So we
Work
hold each
together.
other accountable
Right.
for what we say we're going to do. She don't come to me nagging. She just says, "Hey, look at this. How are we going to reach that, baby? Did you hear that word? We? How we going to reach that, baby?" So, yeah, I told my long term one. Now it's now your turn,
Okay.
right?
Well, you know, I'm on the same direction. I'm a little younger than you, but yeah, I started. Man, you know what? Like you was explaining earlier, that you know, I didn't grow up with somebody, you know, giving me direction, you know, which way to go, and so I'm just out there, just young and young, you know, and just blowing money left and right. You know, didn't have nobody saying, hey, you know, invest in this and invest in that. But as I said before, a light went off. I mean, I say a light, but I know it's God. God saying, you know what, you need to invest and you need to buy this house across the street. So, you know, I purchased the house, and then after that, I said, you know what if I get some properties just in case, you know, for my long term, I can go ahead on and build on them and then rent them out or either build and flip. And so, yeah, I started doing that about 50, about 7 years ago. And so, yeah, and I got like now, so I'm just setting myself up so because where it in the field that I work in, you can't do it, you know, 60, 70 after that. So I'm getting to the point to where I have to facilitate more than put my hands on. So
Right.
that's the reason why I was glad that, you know, God turned the light on and I got properties that I'm gonna go ahead on and flip and then do things with. But yeah.
I like too that you're talking about bringing someone else along and you're facilitating them so that they learn a skill as
Yes.
well. That way we have this saying, each one reach one by teaching one.
Mm.
And so it's always helpful when you can find young people who are
Mm.
interested in learning the skill that you have,
Mhm.
because sometimes skills are lost because no one wants to learn it or do that particular job. So
Yeah, we
Yes.
got
that's
faked out.
important.
We got
Yeah,
faked
yeah.
out.
Mhm.
Go
Well,
spend $100,000 to go to
well,
college. You can become an electrician. But half that, they
well,
make double the money.
yeah,
You know, the
y-
trades used to be like a good place for us. Education is great. That's what you do at
yes,
a Pacific Education. But somewhere along the line, we did forget the trades. I
yeah,
think it's coming back now. They're
Yeah.
talking about
slowly
vocationals
but
and stuff
surely,
like
yeah.
that. So I like that. So now that you got the long term down, Written down. Everything we talking about is written down. A budget. Now, if you heard us before, we always say a budget is what?
Purposing our money.
Purposing our money. Purposing our money.
That sounds like a nicer little phrase than budget. You say budget and people get all uptight, you know?
Yeah. You telling yourself, I purpose my money. I'm in control of my money. So as a businessman and someone about ready to get married, budget. How do you begin your budget?
All right. Me, I'm frugal, as I might say. People say, no, you had to. See, I used to, like I said, just splurge and, just did everything. But as you said earlier, everything I have now is paid off.
Praise God.
Oh, no. I got vehicles paid off, properties paid off, home paid off, so I don't have to worry about that. But in the sense of where I start the budget is still with that same whiteboard I have. And I purpose my money in certain individuals. As I told my newly fiance, is that I said, okay, we're going to have a budget account. I said, we're going to have a financial stability account that's to pay everything that we need. And then we're going to have our wants over here. I say that's going to be the budget account. So in sense of saying that is that, we don't get anything or we don't go any direction that we don't need as of this point in time. I was like, if it's a want, we put it off. I said because we're trying to build, we're trying to build our relationship and our business partnership together. I said, then after that, we'll set another budget and then create something different as terms of, like she said, how about a budget for vacation? How about a budget, for expenses, like personal, hygiene.
Get that hair done.
Yeah. So, So you knew that was coming.
Yeah.
But yeah, so but yeah, that's the basic finance budgets that I do.
Yeah, and unfortunately, like I said, a lot of people don't take a budget. A budget for me back in the day was that envelope.
Oh yeah,
I stuffed the envelope here and here because nobody showed me.
Yeah,
between the internet and just asking, because I'll ask Ray and other brothers that have made it and done things. I ain't got no shame in my game when I'm trying to get where I need to get.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
You're gonna get rejected. But then that one person's gonna open up the door and say, I got you.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And you putting your hand up like you in church.
Yeah.
That's to get a word in edgewise,
Okay,
No, I was just going to say about that. I learned a lot just by listening to people that talked finance or talked budget or talked 401k. I would just kind of eavesdrop on what people were saying and make a note of it. And then later I'd ask somebody about it that I felt would take the time to explain it to me. And that helped me a lot. That helps me get started. And so, but what I find sometimes is that people are hesitant to share good information and life-changing information. I don't understand that. So we try to be the opposite. I feel like, and we feel like it's enough for all of us to get a piece of that pie,
That's true.
And that's the kind of people surround yourself with.
Yeah.
I call them, don't hang around gatekeepers. The person say, oh, you don't want to try that business, man. They in the business, making money, and they'll tell you, man, you don't want to do this. This is a big headache.
Yeah.
That's a gatekeeper.
Yeah.
Be around people that are willing to share with you.
Yeah.
Look, even all that I learned when we did the savings, right? I had my money in the bank, savings. And somebody said to me, Fran, you know about high yield savings account?
Savings,
And I was like, no, what do you mean? He said, yeah, put your money over there. You can get 3 or 4% instead of not getting any.
1%.
Yeah. I was like, man.
Yeah.
Then I'm sharing it with a few friends, right? Associates. Yeah, I knew that friend. but I shared it with everybody. Now I got a podcast. We share everything.
Yes.
If I hear about it, and then I wasn't, you want a financial planner, you think that you have to have a lot of money because that's you hearing on TV, 50,000, 100,000, JC wants. Man, you do it $25. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
You can literally put $25 every month in there. And then that compound and all that kind of stuff. You end up with nice, nice little pocket change.
Yeah.
All right. Here's the other one I had to get. Life insurance or burial insurance.
Let me
I'm
tell
going to let
you.
you going to talk about that first, right? Because you've been through that.
Yes. There is nothing that I hate to see worse than someone lose a loved one and they've got to do a GoFundMe page, or they have to go to different family members to try to gather enough money to, put a loved one away nicely. Now, granted, they charge you a lot in funeral homes and that sort of thing, but life insurance, especially if you're young, does not cost that much for you to get some type of policy so that if something happens to you or a loved one, you at least have a resource you can go to bury that person without putting yourself in a lot of debt. And that is so important. And we don't take care of it. And when you go at the last minute without having insurance, if you don't know any better, the funeral homes will charge you for every little thing. So when my late husband passed away, and I had to go through that process, fortunately, I had life insurance. But I shared with my coworkers what that experience was like and the fact that you don't have to spend an exorbitant amount of money on a funeral or caskets or a plethora of flowers and plants and different things. I kind of gave them a little guideline. And I remember one of my coworkers coming back when her father passed. She said, "I remembered what you told me, and it saved me a lot of money."
Before you talk, Ray,
Yeah.
I want to help y'all out. Me, just show y'all the difference. I'm getting burnt, like they say. Cremated.
Cremated.
I'm getting cremated.
He wants to be cremated.
$1,200. I'm dead.
You're gonna get roasted.
I could kid. Yeah, roast me. Now you could do $1,200 like me. Leave your people some little money. I got my wife and she around. She get a little money. Now my wife's a planner. And she wanted all the trimmings, right?
Yeah.
So she went there and she, did the payment thing. Like, well, I want this and that. I said, you ain't gonna be there. She said, that's why I'm paying these people, because I want to make sure that it's done right. So we just trying to show you it doesn't cost a lot of money to make sure that your family member, your wife, your husband, is taken care of when it comes to that. So you have the choice. Because like she said, if you wait until the person died, you're going to be in there and you're going to try to impress people, right? And they're going to say you don't want to look cheap. You need these flowers. The flowers that's going to die 3 days later. Because you're despondent. You know what I mean?
Right. You're very emotional.
You're in a vulnerable state. So that's why I said, either have, if you're older and you say, I can't give life insurance, or you had term life insurance and it doesn't run out and now they want to charge you $200, just go get burial insurance, which is much cheaper.
Yeah, that's true.
Or you can go to the funeral homes and do pre-needs planning. Either way, it keeps you from being stressed out, emotional, upset, and making bad decisions when that time comes. Because the reality is we all are going that way.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. And to top that, I'm not topping that, but to piggyback off of what you said, a couple of years ago, I had to go through that with my son.
Yeah.
So, it's a very emotional time. And if you don't have life insurance, it's you can get in debt just
Behind
trying to,
that.
bury your loved one.
Mhm.
And so it was fortunate that we had, life insurance, and we. Then of course I always have a budget just in case. I call it a JIC budget, just in case
Say that
to pay.
again.
It's called a JIC, just in case. Yeah, I
I
always
like
have a
that.
JIC budget,
Mhm.
and just in case. And so yeah, we was able to move them from one state to another state, and
Yeah.
then and get them buried, and nothing out of pocket.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, and that's another
Mhm.
reason why you don't wanna be in a lot of debt, because
Oh.
if something happens to you, you don't wanna leave your family with a lot of debt.
Mhm.
So, that's why it's so important to us to try to be as debt-free as we possibly can.
Yeah, I grew up with
Yeah.
that song.
What's-
Papa was a rolling stone, only thing he left. I'm like, boy,
Hey,
right
man,
there they was
I'm
teaching.
gonna add a little bit to that. Is that because me,
Mhm.
I'm a little different when it comes to the life insurance for me, because I look at it different. Because earlier, I wasn't taught or told about life insurance, and you saw the guy going from home to home, collecting life insurance payments.
Right.
But I was like, who is this guy? It was like, oh, he just wanted life insurance. He's been earning a living. But I look at it as a means of giving my grandchildren something extra. So
Right.
people say, why are you paying so much? Because it's not for me. Because I might not have enough to create wealth, generational wealth,
Mhm.
but I have life insurance to give them a head start.
Exactly.
So yeah, so that's the reason why
See, I hang around them kingdom-minded brothers. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Not the hell, not the tail. Them ant brothers
Yeah.
building not for a leg.
Yeah.
Them brothers that say, hey, I'm going to leave a legacy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Please. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
good company.
Yeah.
All right. And the next one is the retirement plan.
Retirement.
Now, like I said,
You retired, man.
If you keep
I
living,
just
you're gonna
retired.
be old.
Yeah.
And the thing about it, I really want you to know, I didn't start thinking about retirement until I was 40.
Man.
Well, 39 when I met my wife. I'm 65. You know what they asked me? Fran, you gonna get another job? Fran, you gonna go back to work? No, Fran ain't going back to work. I'm retired. I can work full time for the Lord. I'm retired. And to have something to do, God got plenty of stuff for me to do.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
make a plan.
Mhm.
And it's hard going to like my wife and like, well, I gotta come up with a plan. Asking people questions about how do I go about that? What's the 401k? What's the 401b? What's the IRA? What's the RTF? Internet, I don't believe everything on there, but I'm reading books and I'm asking questions. They have free seminars that I would go to. I'll just sit there. You ain't getting me to buy nothing, but I want to hear the little bit of information you have and then take it and pile together. It's only taking a couple hours out of my life. So that was so important. And it was funny, my wife, she's a master blaster finance, right? And I'm like, don't you know about this? She said, I don't know nothing about this either. We knew about 401ks, but we didn't know about RTF. We didn't know all this stuff. So together, right? So ain't nothing wrong with humbling yourself, right? Because humbling yourself means you got strength to find out. Humbling yourself means that, hey, I'm about ready to take it to another level. Because we in the world, humble themselves, they act like you're graveling and all this old stuff. That's the world.
Yeah.
But in kingdom mind, when I go to Ray and I don't know something, me humbling myself, I say, Ray, hey, bro, can you help me out? I ain't experienced this before. What you can do? Oh, yeah, I got you, bro.
Yeah.
So tell me, how did you start with your retirement, man? You're a businessman, so I know you got to have RAs and, all
Well,
kinds of stuff.
I'm not in the IRAs.
what you got?
So I'm
You
just
got-
now my fiance, it's kind of
Yeah,
like
like
you
me.
two.
Mhm,
My
mhm.
fiance explaining that to me about IRAs and in stocks and investments,
Mhm.
because me, I was looking at it on the way of, okay, I'm going to create supplemental income for
Yeah.
my investment
Through
and
your real estate,
through my
right.
through
Real
real
estate
estate and
Right,
holdings,
right.
yes.
property.
Which
And
is
so
good
yeah,
too.
which is good. And
Mhm.
but she said no. She said I'm gonna lay out this portfolio, and I want you to look over it and then see where you can fit in. She
Mhm.
said because this is what I do, because she works for the government also, and
Mhm.
so she's been doing it for a while. She knows about pensions and the IRAs, and me. I was like, I don't have it. No one around me ever
Talked
I've
about
talked
it.
about it. So
Mhm.
yeah. But yeah,
Yeah.
I've always been one, like I said, create supplemental income. That's all I've
Yeah.
ever thought about.
And what I'm hearing is basically it's it's never too late to start.
Yeah.
Start where you are because I remember when 401ks first came out, even the HR people were not well versed in how they worked. And I remember calling and not really getting the answers that I needed that made me feel comfortable enough to put my money somewhere. It's like, okay, what y'all gonna do with my money? And that's when I started listening to people talk and eventually asked a friend who was real familiar, who kind of just took me step by step. If you start here and do this, then you can do this
Yeah.
next.
Shout her out.
Yeah.
Well, her name is Vicky Bowen.
You ain't figure last name
And
that. Yeah.
but Vicky helped me out a lot. Now her dad was into the real estate. He
Okay.
owned a lot of properties, and
Yeah.
that was where their wealth came from. So however you can create wealth for your family, get in there and do it. It's never too late to start.
That's true.
One thing I put out there, sometimes when I was around the younger folks, they were like, well, they're only matching 2% or something like that. And I said, well, they're putting them in mutual funds, which is a whole bunch of stocks anyway. And they said, well, I'm not going to put my money in there. I said, well, where are you going to put it at? Are you going to get yourself an IRA? Are you going to do this or that? Are you going to go buy a stock? No, they're not going to do that. Every time you get a raise, put it in there. It'll
Mhm.
go up and down. And it's always when you show people.
Yeah.
When you show them,
When
I
they
mean,
can
you walk
see
them
it.
through, but you say, that's what I'm doing for my grandson.
Mhm.
A guy, he's going to put 25 hours in there, right? And I'll say, yeah, in this many years, you had this. He said, yeah, pop, with just that. I said, yeah. So now it's in his mind.
Mhm.
The
Mhm.
same thing with a stock. You wear Nikes, look, you take $25 and it's more than that.
Yeah,
Take $100
Nike is more
and
than
go
that.
buy a stock. It don't
Mhm.
matter. And just say you own part of that company. Tell your
Right.
grandson,
Mhm.
hey, son, you own part of Nike.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, pop. Yeah, this is stock. That's ownership.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we can start to change their minds.
Mm.
And we want you to know I had this card, but it's never too late.
Yeah.
But you have to
Right.
start.
Start.
Get
Yeah.
You
started.
have to start.
Yeah.
That's how GoFundMe got rich.
Yeah.
We was trying to talk about stocks. They said, well, here you got own a stock. Yeah, maybe you got a bunch of real estate,
Mhm.
right? Own a
Mhm.
stock, mutual funds, a 401k. What I'm trying to say is stock. I'm trying to say have ownership in something.
Something. Yeah. Mhm.
Ownership in something.
That's true.
I don't care if it's somebody podcast. Ownership
Yep.
in something that's yours. You see what these athletes are doing now?
Yep.
They starting their own podcast, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
They getting that
Yeah.
income.
Yeah.
It's like you always hear them. Yeah, I own this.
Yeah.
How proud is you to say that you own it?
Yep.
It may not be making millions of dollars, but if you have a podcast and the YouTube and you just get monetized,
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an extra $1,500 a month. You ain't really doing nothing but spending a couple hours on
Yeah.
podcast.
It's
That's why we all need y'all to subscribe and like.
Yeah.
I'm
There you go.
retired now.
There you go. Yeah.
Anyway, so I understand that. The next one is a will or trust.
A will. Yeah. Yeah. Well, of course, I had me a specific trust, well drawn out. I mean, perfect until my son passed. So, and I haven't even gotten there to change it yet. And so, and I was reminded that by my dad the other day. He said, you need to go down there and before anything happens. You need to go change that trust. Because you got two kids and you got your grandkids, and so yeah, you need to change that. But yeah, I'm more into the trust side. I have a will, of course, but I'm more into the trust side because it's what I have. I don't want it to leave. I
Amen.
need
Say it again.
what I have. I don't want it to
You
leave.
don't want to go to that knucklehead son-in-law. Just joking. That's what we was talking about when they was talking about that. Yeah. Me and him always talk. That's what we doing as he beat me around on the golf course and everything. we talk about stuff like this. And I mean, it's so important to have even a will or a trust. A trust is better for us. Just like they talk about them prenups. Well, I say if you have a trust, when we say about purposing our money, I'm purposing my money. Oh, it don't belong to me. Oh, girl, do you want to take money from me? I remember one of them soccer players, the girl married him, then 6 months later, she was like, going to get divorced, right?
Yeah.
Then she found out all the money was in his mama's name.
Yeah, I saw that.
So what we're trying to say to each and every one of y'all, we need you to start, right?
Yeah.
We need you to start.
Yes.
And I just happen to like trust because once again, we like to purpose our money.
Yes.
Are there a lot at the first thing? They run from $1,400 to $1,800. Get a lawyer to do it. I mean, you can go on the line to Wills and all them, get them to do it. If you just can't do that, please get on your cell phone and say, I want my money to go here. I want to go there. Because I'm going to let you, my wife tell me when I met her, $1,800, right? You was in court.
Oh, I was in court for 4 years because my stepchildren had to be 18 before I could settle the estate. And so I was the executor of the will, and it took that long. And I mean, I won't go into the nightmare of all the things I had to
you don't
pay,
have to go there.
but yeah, when you don't have a will, you go through a lot, or
Probate.
a trust. You go through a
Yes.
lot of stuff unnecessarily.
That's true.
Not only that, but all these vehicles we're talking about, it also saves you taxes.
Yeah.
Part of the reason why you do a trust is so that your heirs are not exposed to all the taxes from the properties you leave them.
That's true.
So, it's a get you a financial planner or an attorney, tax attorney, or whatever. You pay money up front, but in the long run, and even if you're saying I ain't got nothing, if you got a house, you got cars, you got jewelry,
Everybody got something.
Everybody has
true,
something, and you want it to get to the people you want them to get to.
Don't think these kind of things that you hear us talking about are out of reach.
Yeah.
If I'm telling you about them, that means there's resources out here to get there's places you can get a free will. There is places for you, resources, but you just haven't heard it. I'm talking about government entities, churches, all kinds of nonprofits. So if you want it, just open your mouth, email us, we'll give it to you. We're not gatekeepers. If you say, how do I do this? We'll tell you. We're no charge.
A lot of the churches have resources. So it's like, even pay attention when you're in church or go to the church website. They have people come in to talk about these things. In our culture, because we are usually the ones struggling the most. But when we can empower each other with knowledge, it saves us so much.
Money come and go, but knowledge make that money come.
Right. So your churches can be a resource. Even the mega churches, you may not
mad at you.
may not be a member. You may not be a member there, but a lot of them have community programs where they will help you.
They have CDCs. All right, bro. This is an easy one for him. Because hey, look down. Because
I see which
accountability
one that
partner. Ray is my accountability
is.
partner.
100%. Yeah.
So talk about it. How we help each other. How it's like I come to you. Hey, right?
What does that look like?
Yeah, I'm gonna start. Before us. Well, no, it was during us. Yeah, we had just met, and and when you start to figure out life, you gotta check yourself. And then in checking yourself, you got to start looking around and see who's checking you also. And so I let loose I let loose a lot of friends because I'm like, okay, he's not holding me accountable. And then when I hold him accountable, he gets upset, get irritated. And then so I'm like, okay, that's not good for me. And so I let loose a whole lot of friends. So in saying that is that between me and Fran is that, oh, we gonna hold each other accountable for everything. I mean, it's kind of like if I see Fran out and he's not supposed to be where he's supposed to be or doing what he's supposed to say, supposed to do, I'm gonna say, okay, bro, what we doing here? Why are we here? What got us here?
Don't let me go to hell. Burn me, go burning, man.
Yeah. So and that's the type of individual you need to surround yourself with, because if not, I mean, you can leak through the gates, and then because this world is it'll suck you up, and it only takes a second to get off the right track. So, but yeah, that's the reason why I try to surround myself with everybody that's accountable, that holds me accountable.
An accountability partner, this is the best for that edify you. And the last one was prayer time, because we're running out of time, business plan, and all of us got what in our life at that last one?
It's that God.
G-O-D.
G-O-D. Yeah.
G-O-D.
The person that you're supposed to fear when you wake up and fear when you lay down.
That's right. That reverence fear. That reverence fear, boy, that make you act right.
Yes.
All right. Hey, Ray, we want to thank you for coming on. We can get through all of it, but we want you to know that there's good men out here.
Yeah.
There's good women out here. Do not have the mindset that there's not people out here who love you under Christ and that want to see and uplift you and edify you.
Mm-hmm.
They are. You're looking at 3 right here. We even got one behind the scenes. So we have it. Dreams, podcast. I'm 65. My wife's a couple days older than me.
Watch out now. Watch out.
If we can start a podcast and change people's lives, think how much you can do when you're watching us saying, I could do that. Check out DreamWorks and get you a little podcast, get you a little money on the side. Mm-hmm. Amen. Well, thank you. And what's our motto?
Communicate. Let's communicate and talk later.
God bless each and every one of y'all. Have a great day on purpose.